Hello everyone and a warm welcome. My name is Simon and I'll be hosting today's webinar brought to you by the Eindhoven University of Technology. Today's title is Ready for the Next Step After Your Master? Apply for a PDEng or a PhD program at the aforementioned university. Today you will learn the differences between doing a PhD and a PDEng. You will hear more what to expect during the both programs, about the different PhD and PDEng programs TUE has to offer, and about personal experience of a PhD candidate as well as a PDEng trainee. And telling you more about the above will be my lovely panel of two presenters, and I'm sending my greetings today to Eindhoven, to Valentina Bonito, she's the PhD candidate, and Dmitry Kondrashov, the PDEng candidate. Warm welcome, guys. How are you?
Yeah. We're fine. We're ready for it.
It's good, yeah.
And I'm sure that the audience is ready as well. So without further ado, allow me to navigate to your presentation. Let's make it full screen for the audience to enjoy it better. Guys, I'm giving you the control. And while you set up everything, allow me to mention to our audience members that there is an interactive Q&A taking place after the presentation. You should be able to find the Q&A from the drop-down menu from the top. Once out of full screen, it's going to be on the right side. You type them in, we'll be answering them verbally after the presentation. Valentina and Dmitry, I believe that you guys are ready, and you can take it from here. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. So welcome everybody, guys. We're glad to present TUE here for you today, and also doctorate programs, as well as our experience doing those. And today I have with me PhD candidate Valentina.
And of course, Dmitry, PDEng candidate at TUE.
Yeah, so let's first look on the agenda. We start with a brief introduction of Eindhoven, then the university itself, then we cover doctorate programs, and in the end you will have room for your questions, somewhere 30 minutes before the end of the presentation. So I hope you're excited as we are, and let's get started then.
Yes.
Well, first of all, the Netherlands. As you see, Eindhoven is situated on the south of it. And if you ask me how can I describe it, I can say that it's a cozy city. Yeah, because it's not too big, it's not too small, it's very modern, and yeah, it makes it very convenient. So you don't live in a very crowded, touristic place, and it's not a small village here. And the location is just 1.5 hours away by train from Amsterdam, and Eindhoven has its own airport, so yeah, it's easy to travel here. So Valentina, maybe if you have any experience about it, and can you share something, your ideas about Eindhoven?
So I totally agree with you with the fact that Eindhoven, even though it's not as big as other cities of the Netherlands, and maybe not that popular like some other cities. So for example, Amsterdam is really a young, friendly city. There is a lot to do going on constantly, so you'll never get bored, for example, during the weekends. And what we all like as an international community is that you really feel welcome from the very first day. And you can go around by bike, for example, and so everything is really accessible.
That's good. Well, and talking about career and your opportunities here, it's worth to mention that Eindhoven is a heart of Brainport region with lots of good high-tech companies around. And yeah, the main, I guess, is Philips and SML, but besides that, you can always, you see also Canon and Thermo Fisher and XP and other big companies. Yeah, so maybe you have an experience of working with one of them.
Yeah, I do. I was about to ask you the same. So actually, I was in the past connected to Philips, and that's also the reason why I came for the first time in the Netherlands, so in Eindhoven. Eindhoven has the headquarters of Philips at the Eindhoven campus. But it's not just a matter of the presence of the factory, it's also the history of the city that is all around this company. And you can actually have this feeling as soon as you step in the city, because you will see a lot of buildings that are entitled to Philips and even a Philips museum. But of course, it's not just about Philips, so the city has much more to offer, as we said. So we decided together to put a picture of one of the most representative spots of the city, which is the one that you see on the top right of your screen. and that's called Stratum, and is one of the most famous pub streets in the Netherlands.
Yeah, that's why it's a bit blurry as I see.
Yeah, because it's actually, well, they claim that it's the longest pub street of the entire country. So again, a lot of fun going on. And well, we also mentioned that there are a lot of activities all over the year, right? So, for example, just to mention 3 of them, we have the Dutch Design Week, and as the title says, it's an entire week in which designers and in general creative people, they gather together and they have exhibitions all over the city. But Eindhoven is also defined as the City of Light, and that's because we have a Glow Festival, which is a light festival with a lot of astonishing lights installations.
Yeah.
And finally, we have the Dutch Technology Week, that is also pretty much related to the work that is done at UE by PDEng and PhD students as well. So we find it really cool.
Yeah. Sounds interesting. Yeah, it seems that you never be bored here.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, and then switching to the university. Yeah, well, first of all, what can I say in 2 words about it? It's a great university, and it's rated as #1 in collaboration with industry, not even in Eindhoven area, but worldwide. So it has beautiful campus. Yeah, and if you're curious about it, there is a way to visit 3D online too via your browser. So feel free to do it after the presentation. Also, it's very international. Yeah, and TUE is represented in over 80 different nationalities. So you feel yourself almost like at home. You always find the good people, friends around. And of course, it was to mention facilities that we have here. Yeah, the sports center that is in the campus is beautiful, and it's relatively cheap, easy to attend, so a lot of people do it.
So do you go to the sports center?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I do some sports like football and squash. Yeah. So, but of course, you can find any kind you like when you're here. Also, we have our own cinema in the campus. Yeah.
And maybe something else that is worth to mention, and it's related to the international community, is the fact that in this city, of course, it's beneficial to learn Dutch, especially if you want to stay for a long time. But however, everyone can speak really fluently English, especially at the academic level. So that's also another aspect for which we all feel extremely welcome again.
Yeah, of course. So you wouldn't expect a lot of problems knowing only English, but then you have lots of chances to learn Dutch and yeah, to practice it here. So and going further, what can you tell about opportunities in our university?
So in this slide, you see represented a little bit the possible directions that you can take during the university, but even more of interest for us is after the Master of Science. So first of all, the educational system at UE and in the Netherlands in general is really comparable to the European universities, in the sense that you have a Bachelor of Science of 3 years, that is followed by a Master of Science, which is a 2-year program. And then after that, you can decide if you want to stay in academia, of course, to either go for the Doctor of Philosophy program, so the PhD, which is 4 years, or the PDEng, so the Professional Doctorate in Engineering, which is instead a 2-year program.
Yeah, and if you look on the difference between those 2 doctorate programs.
Yeah, so going a little bit more in details, for the PhD, as I said before, the program is much longer, so it's a 4-year program. And in general, you will carry out fundamental research or in collaboration with industry. And this is also pretty unique of this city because if you remember the very first slides that we showed you, we are really in the middle of the pre-import region. So this collaboration with industry, it's even in the way the city is structured. So it would be eventually extremely easy to set up a PhD in collaboration with one of those. And of course, at the end of the PhD and even during that, you will become an independent researcher. and obviously at the end you will get the PhD degree. But of course, if you have additional questions or information, you can ask at the end of this presentation, but you can also visit the official website, so the PhD page under the QE website.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, well, and describing PDEng, the main difference from PhD is that you will obtain professional doctorate in engineering degree, and the program is 2 years instead of 4. And instead of doing research, you will be involved in different design assignments for industrial companies, well, mainly in Eindhoven area, but for some PDEngs, you also have assignments from all around the Netherlands and even abroad. Well, so we start with this doctorate program, and yeah, first of all, the structure of it. Those 2 years that I mentioned, in general, first year you spend doing group projects with your colleagues, and it's your time to, let's say, increase, to develop your personal and professional skills. Because studying masters, you gain a lot of theoretical knowledge, but let's say transferring it into industry is a completely different matter, and yeah, PDEng gives you opportunity to try projects in different domains, to practice your skills in those domains. And the second year, and the second part of the PDEng, it is your final project, which is individual one within a company. Like you do 10 months projects in the company environment with yeah, real colleagues from real industry, and eventually you have exciting career opportunities, you gain a great network all around this area, and yeah, I think it really increases your chances to be a better specialist in the area that you chose. So
maybe, sorry,
yeah,
we could mention also some details about your personal experience, because you just said that the first year is really a teamwork,
yeah,
and it's a little bit more academic maybe, and then in the second year you go towards industry with a specific project.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm doing software technology PDEng, and I'm finishing my first year of it, so I'm looking forward to start my final graduation project in January. And my case was a bit different, because I came to do PDEng not directly after masters. I had some work experience, and I came to the Netherlands when I found a job here. But after a while, I was aiming for more, and I saw that PDEng is the place where I can just increase my knowledge, gain some skills, better skills for my future career, and that's the reason why I applied. And now I see it helps me to structure and answer all of my questions that I got during my experience in real industrial environment. Because let's say you end up in a company and you meet people there, so sometimes they're not as good as professional as you want them to be to, let's say, learn from them. But here in PDEng, you always work with trained and professional coaches that just guide you to like future and better career. So yeah, looking on the slides, if you ask yourself when you want to do PDEng, I would say the main answer is when you want you to be a better specialist, and you have you see that industry is not perfect, and you want to make it better. So that's, I guess, the main answer. Yeah, well, also it was to mention that if you do it right after masters, it's going to be a smooth bridge from the academia university environment to the industrial environment.
Yeah, but still I think it's important to emphasize that even if you go for industry, it's not too late then to...
No, of course. That's what I was saying, that I had a background of 5 years working experience, and yeah, I switched to PDEng, and I really enjoy it now.
Cool.
Well, as some of the examples I can share, these are our alumni and people who did PDEng in different PDEng programs. You see them on the slide. Talking about software technology and my personal experience, Yeah, the first project we did was for Bosch Security in Eindhoven, and we were involved in developing application for their conference system. So second project was with European Space Agency.
Wow.
And now we are working with Philips Lighting. And yeah, those are different domains. So I looked into mobile development, IoT, domain modeling, and other interesting, let's say, software domains. And now I can choose for myself what I want for the future. So those group projects within first year, they help to do it.
Yeah.
Well, and to summarize, there are 12 different PDEng programs. You can find information about them on the website. So the structure is a bit different because some of them, they have one intake per year, some of them have two or maybe even more. But yeah, in general, if you choose the field you like, you easily can just contact secretary of this PDEng program and ask your questions. So people are willing to reply, and just don't be afraid, don't be shy.
And is there a schedule time for this 1 or 2 intakes per year?
Well, with software technology, it happens in the end of October.
Okay.
Yeah, so once per year. But for other details, I guess it's better to check the most updated information on the website.
Right.
Yeah, so we are done with PDEng, and
yes, we can
now it's time to answer why PhD.
PhD. So why a PhD? There are a million of answers to that, I would say. But if you want to keep it simple, first of all, you decide to go for a PhD in case you want to develop the capability to be an independent researcher. And of course, you would like to stay in academics because you will have to eventually survive for 4 years. And obviously, you have to work on something that you really like, on a topic that fascinates you. And the challenging and the intriguing thing is that 90% of the time you do research that is completely new. So you are really the main expert of your own field after a while. But maybe, yeah, exactly for the PDEng, we can also try to pinpoint the aspects or the things to consider when you want to start doing a PhD. So first of all, it would be beneficial to have clear ideas and set your mind on what you want to do. Even though, of course, you cannot know in advance all the details of the project you will be involved into, but that's not really important. What is important is that you have the right motivation, of course, and also enthusiasm for the general topic. And it will be also great to have your own idea, because it's not really always the case, but it can also happen that you come up with a project from scratch. So you can propose it to a research group that you find interesting. And you want to work independently. That's also really important because, as I said before, especially when the topic is completely new, you can look into literature as well, but you will not find that much about it, at least for the details of your own work. So it's important to have that kind of mindset. And obviously, you prefer the academic environment over industry, even though that's not entirely and always the case, because there are a lot of PhD projects that are in collaboration with industry, like we said before. Again, if you are interested in a specific topic, what you can do is to have a look or a closer look and screening at the research labs that are all over the TUE. So there you will find the research direction or the most recent publications, for example. So that's really important for you to realize in details what that means and what being a PhD candidate means. Yes, I can give you some examples maybe of the research that is conducted at TUE, and later on also my own experience. So of course, the variety of projects and departments that you can apply for, it's huge. So there are people working on sustainable chemicals, like Alvaro here, or also the guy Bart Sanders, that is actually a previous PhD candidate in the exact same group in which I am right now. That is the group of soft tissue engineering and mechanobiology at the biomedical department. But maybe from this I can skip directly to my own experience.
Yeah, that's the most interesting part.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
And, so in my group, the hot topic at the moment is to work on the so-called tissue engineering. So what we try to do is to mimic human tissue artificially in the lab. So we work a lot with synthetic materials that are called smart because they are biodegradable. So once you implant them in the human body, so in this case, for example, you see depicted here the replacement of a part of a blood vessel. These materials will degrade over time and will be colonized by cells of your own body. So the project per se is not saying, I think, that much about the general view that you can have of this department and the TUE. But what is important, I think, is to underline that for each and every PhD project, the multidisciplinarity is fundamental. So you'll never look at one single aspect, but a combination of those.
Interesting.
Yes, so to conclude with the PhD part, we also have a bunch of PhD programs, 15 in total. So now I'm not going to go with the list of the supermarket, but you can have a look at the details again in this slide or in the website page. Yeah, so I think after this we are done. Of course, there is now time for questions. And if you want to have some more information about the programs, ask now, this is your chance, or visit the website later on. And that account also for the vacancies or any other kind of practical information you might have.
Yeah, and once again, don't worry if you don't have time today or you don't know exactly what to ask. Always feel free to send an email to like a specific PDEng or PhD department that you want to apply for, and everybody is just willing to provide you with relative information that you need. Yeah.
Indeed. And thanks for listening, of course.
Yeah. We are ready for the questions now.
And Dimitri, thank you very much for the first part, for your first role in the webinar, providing this useful information. We have quite a few questions already submitted. Just allow me to remind our audience, they are to be submitted through the Q&A. You guys type them in. We'll be answering hopefully most of them now verbally. As we have a lot submitted, allow me to mention that if we perhaps can't address yours today, I will make sure to forward all of your queries to the appropriate faculty members who will in turn get back to you. And now perhaps to kick things off with a question, I've had one that was perhaps just to make clear if the PDEng and the PhD courses are available in English. I believe that we should clarify this.
Yeah, absolutely they are.
Yeah, so about PDEng, I know that just several programs out of 12 are in Dutch currently, but yeah, the rest is English, and of course this information is available on the website. So.
Yeah, and that applies for everything. And when I say everything, I really mean like standard conversations, meetings, arrangements. It's everything in English. So.
Thank you very much. Perhaps another simpler question also, what are the durations for both courses?
Yeah, so we show that for the PDEng we have a 2 years program and the PhD is 4 years instead.
Thank you very much. Actually, a lot of the information I see that the questions were submitted a bit before. Actually, a lot of the information was already shared. I also have a few prioritized here. A few attendees also are asking what is the cost for PDEng and what would be the minimum qualification, sort of language-wise, regarding the English proficiency. So the cost.
So then last year the minimum requirement was 6.5 or 7 for IELTS exam regarding English proficiency, and yeah, both PhD and PDEng programs, they are yeah, salaries and sponsored by university, so you will receive salary, you will be an employee of the university, and yeah, if you are chosen, you don't pay anything. You instead, the university will pay you for you doing your job. So.
Thank you very much. So we've kicked things off with a few questions. However, we also have a few questions for our audience members in the form of a poll that I've just opened, where we are asking them if they are planning to apply for a PhD or a PDEng. If you knew that about the PDEng programs before the webinar, being the second one, if perhaps you are missing any information during the webinar, before you do fill that one out, would be the time to submit your queries to the Q&A panel. And if yes, what information did you miss? As you can see, a very short poll, multiple choice answer. If you do decide to give us your feedback, make sure to click on that submit button in order to finalize your answers. Otherwise, your efforts will have been in vain. So now returning back to the Q&A, I believe that Hans has a good question. Can you tell him if several companies are working sort of closely with the PDEng or with the PhD programs, if they are both broadly recognized? So how do they work with the industry, I believe is the question.
Maybe I can start with the PhD. So I'm aware of PhD projects that are totally done in collaboration with Philips, for example. So that means that you spend some time in local, so at the company, and some other time at the TUE. So that's really possible. And there is also the chance that if you end up in a big European project, there will be a consortium that is related to that. And most of the times, these consortia, they do have industry as partners. So you can also think of setting up a collaboration from scratch.
Yeah, and regarding PDEng, I would say that the program is well known in Eindhoven area, and yeah, definitely there is a big chance to do a project in collaboration with Philips, SML, and other companies around. But all of the managers, they're working hard to get connection with other companies, and yeah, to get opportunities to make projects all around the Netherlands and abroad, like I mentioned. Yeah, in my case, we did 2 projects in Eindhoven and one in Leiden, yeah, European Space Agency. So it wasn't actually this area, something like that.
Thank you very much, guys. I see that we have a lot of questions. The students, potential students, explaining their educational background, if that would make them eligible. I believe that the best thing would actually be to send an email, perhaps to the international office, if you are a foreign student wanting to live in, study in the Netherlands, which is io@tue.nl, because I don't believe that Dimitri and Valentina today would be qualified to take a look at every specific educational background. So io@tue.nl, or perhaps to Deren@tue.nl. If you perhaps are a Dutch student, of course, you can submit it in your native language. I'm trying to pick up a few questions that are broader, beneficial to a broader audience, also rephrasing them. But Julia has a good one. If you could please elaborate more about the design project for the PDEng program.
So, okay, well, mainly it's something innovative, because if company wants to collaborate with PDEng, it means that they don't want to redo some things that they're already doing with their employees. And let's say in software technology, for instance, nowadays artificial intelligence is very hot trend. So in some companies, they are willing to apply these techniques to their products, and then they ask to look on like this kind of solution for their products. So I can't say something specific, because probably it's different from project to project, but definitely it's something brand new, because like usually companies, they find PDEng trainees very creative, and the assignments, they also like in the area of hot trends, I would say.
Dmitry, thank you very much. Related question here is from Birai. How important are the multiple group projects in the first year of the PDEng courses?
You're doing this program, so you will be involved, and I guess they are important because of you gain your experience there, and within group projects, you're able to choose the role you want to play in the project, let's say. So you might be more interested into management, and then you can apply for a project manager, and then let's say you manage the team of people, or another way you might be interested into technology, and then you apply for a role of designer or developer there. So trying yourself in different roles, you just see what is better for you, what is more interesting for you. So I guess they're important first.
Thank you again, Dmitry. You've been most useful. And I'm seeing that for a few attendees, of course, this PDEng program is something new. A couple of them are asking if this degree is recognized worldwide or in other countries, they're saying.
Well, it's a doctorate degree. It's postmasters. I can't answer about all of the countries, but definitely you're able to write this experience in your CV and explain to your future employer what was this program about. And I guess it's not something that you wouldn't be able to explain afterwards. So it's very important for your experience, and then you just show it as part of your background for your employer.
Yeah, maybe the exact acronym is something that is typical of the Netherlands. It's not that you can resell it as the PDEng, but since you have the 1 year work experience plus the teamwork and all the rest, it's always experience.
So nobody's against like describing what was this program about and what were you doing there.
Yeah.
So it's a good opportunity for you to broaden your knowledge in different domains and just put that you had experience in those projects.
Thank you yet again. Guys, if you see a question that you would like to address, feel free to help me out. But I believe I have the next one that is quite good. A few attendees are asking if there's a chance to change from a PDEng to a PhD.
That's actually a very interesting one. Of course, so let's say if you're not sure about the direction in which you want to do your research, you can start with PDEng, and then your final project, like second year project, will be part of your PhD research. So there is a way, and then you will do PhD as I know for 3 more years. So instead of doing it for 4 years, like 1 year will be included in your second year PDEng assignment.
Yeah, that's correct. I have a lot of friends that actually decided to do that.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm sieving through the questions. We have a lot submitted. I'm also yet again trying to find one that would be most suitable. Perhaps we can switch from this topic to actually a few attendees again asking what are the application deadline for the both courses.
Oh, yeah. Shall I start?
Yeah, of course.
So for the PhD, there is no deadline basically, because unless you go for a specific project that is at the European level. So for example, if it's a Marie Curie project, then you have to refer to the official website, and then normally for that there are calls and deadlines. But that's a little bit of an exemption, because normally it works the other way around. So you first look for a research group that you are interested in, and you can start approaching directly the group, and then there will be like some interviews, of course, if they think that your CV might fit. And from that point on, normally it's a matter of deciding whether there is a spot or not for your type of background. So
with PDEng, there is a deadline for each intake that the program has, but if you want to apply, just don't hesitate, and let's say it's different for different PDEng programs. You can check the details about specific one you want to apply for, but in general, if you apply, they will, and you accept it, they will take you within the next intake of the program. So.
Yeah.
I believe I found a very good question. Tamara is saying, when should student choose, as master student, choose a PDEng and when a PhD?
Okay, tricky one. we had different answers on that one.
Yeah, so I guess the first question that you should ask yourself is for how long you think you could enroll in a specific project, because that's the biggest difference. So for the PhD, it's quite long actually, it's 4 years in which you normally work on a specific project. So that doesn't mean, of course, that you will do always the same things, but still the main topic is that one. And for example, if the PhD is not in collaboration with an industry, you're really doing fundamental research. So you should ask yourself, do I like it or not? But that depends a lot on the type of PhD too. So a PhD candidate in mathematics is doing completely different stuff from somebody like me. So I work a lot in the lab. And that's also another aspect that somebody should consider, I think.
Yeah, and as I see, let's say, if you don't know exactly like which topic to pick for your research, but you know the area that is interesting for you, yeah. So you can start with PDEng in this area, and then after a year, you can just look by yourself that if you like projects in collaboration with companies and you want to be there, like in industrial environment, you just finish your PDEng and you start your career. Or other way around, after 1 year of group projects, you ask your program manager about finding a good topic for your PhD.
Yeah.
So I guess PDEng is like something that gives you a time to decide what exactly you like, what exactly you want, and also gives you opportunity to gain more skills in this area.
But I think one message that we should give is the fact that, of course, we said that it's possible to switch from the PDEng to the PhD, but the PDEng programs, they do not cover all the PhD programs and vice versa.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in a specific topic, it can be also the case that you will not find it among the PDEng programs. So that's also something else to take into account.
It's very personal, but yeah, I guess the main difference is research, and with PDEng probably it's a switch from academia to industrial environment, and then you can answer by yourself what do you like more.
Yeah.
Like, should you stay and continue, or should you just go and work in industry?
Thank you very much. A related question here, you were mentioning the topics. I have a couple of attendees. In a way, I'm going to try to formulate that I can include most of the questions submitted regarding this topic. Basically, what they're asking is, can they choose their PDEng and PhD topics? Are they predetermined, or can they perhaps suggest their own?
Yeah, so for the PhD, you definitely can. So, of course, it's easier if you have a specific goal, or you would just jump on a research direction that it's already taken from that specific group. But here, professors and scientists in general, they are really excited about new ideas. So that's something that you can do either at the beginning, so you propose yourself with a new idea, or later on, so you get some time to adjust a little bit to the research of that specific group, and then after all, you can redirect a little bit your project into your own interest.
Yeah. Probably it's a bit different for different PDEngs. Let's say in software technology, what happens that we have a list of topics for the second year project, a list of companies you can do those projects with, and yeah, then you choose your favorite 3 and just go through those 3 interviews, and then both, like, you have mutual agreement, company wants to work with you and you want to work with the company. So that's how it happens. But yeah, you actually can choose out of the list at least. So maybe you can't propose specific project that you like if it's not exists. But yeah, you can choose out of the list.
Thank you very much. Perhaps a broader question is as to how many students are accepted each year for the two programs, for the PDEng and the PhD?
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
For the PhD, I really cannot answer. I mean, as many as the money
Yeah.
that specific.
As long as budget allows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for PDEng, it's also, once again, I'll repeat myself many times, it's different from program to program. In software technology, we have roughly 35, 40 trainees, like 20 from each generation, like 20 from first year, 20 from second year, for instance. Yeah.
Thank you very much. A lighter topic, if you could perhaps let them know about the living expenses in the Netherlands.
In general, I mean, like housing or...
Yeah.
Yeah, so Eindhoven is not the most expensive city of the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Let's start with the good news. And
cheaper than Amsterdam.
Cheaper than Amsterdam, indeed. But on the other hand, there are quite some expenses that you have to consider. So having a salary, like a PDEng or PhD salary, and not having a family, I think that's enough to cover the...
Well, even as I would say with your partner, some people they do it. It's not that, yeah. But it's very personal, Simon. You understand? So it's like it's enough to live. Probably you can't live the luxurious life you can imagine, but it's a good start because first of all you should consider it as an investment for the future. So of course you sacrifice something, yeah. But it's not something like it's not that you will suffer because of this amount of money. It's okay to live, yeah. So don't worry too much about it. Yeah. So yeah.
But for sure, one of the biggest expenses is the housing. So normally we can give perhaps some numbers. If you want to live alone, it's impossible to find a place that is below 800 euro per month. Unless you really go like far from the...
I have an example. So
yeah, okay. Then we don't agree on this.
Yeah, it's very different. Yeah. So I can say that definitely you can live, and it's okay. It's normal. Well,
we don't consider that as an issue. Let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I believe the next question is also relevant. So from applying to being notified, what is the time frame that perhaps you guys received your notifications that you were eligible?
Well, okay. In my case, it was roughly 2 weeks, I guess. But then it also depends on the intake time, because let's say my intake was in the end of October, and I applied in July. So if you apply in like April, May, probably they will wait till the end of July also to view all of the candidates. But yeah, you always, if you wait for too long, you can just drop a mail asking like what's going on there. Usually it doesn't take longer than 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, but for me it was a sort of an exception because it was extremely fast. So in 1 week I had 2 interviews, and then the week after the final one, and I was hired. But maybe I can mention that, so for the Active Same project, that was a sort of a Marie Curie call a few months earlier than the time that I sent the email, and nothing happened. So I applied in the official way, and I got no response. And then when I was about to give up, I sent an email to the head of the department directly, and then everything went extremely fast. So again, emails are sometimes the proper way to get response quickly.
Thank you yet again. Perhaps rephrasing the question, we have few questions regarding eligibility, and what I believe would be the best. Could you perhaps let them know for the two courses, the 2 programs, if you perhaps have any personal insight as to what would make a good applicant, as to what they should pay attention to when applying. If you have any recommendations from a personal note.
Want to start?
Yeah, I can start. So for the PhD, for sure, they will ask you the records of your scoring at the grades, at the university, and also the final grade. The personal interviews, they count a lot, and that's also a way to test, for example, your English or in general your way of thinking. And another thing that made me, for example, appealing, or that's what I think now when looking back, is the fact that I had already a publication. And that was really important because it's not always the case that master students, they can have a publication during the master thesis or the bachelor project even. So that was really unique. So if you can try to get one during the final project, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, in PDEng, besides all of the diplomas and your grades, of course, it's very important to have good motivation, like why you want to do it, and yeah, if you have relative experience, like job experience after, it's also very interesting and can play a good role in you to be accepted. So I guess yeah, it depends on the field you want to apply, but just collect all of the relative experience you have about it, and just write down a motivation letter why you want it, and you'll be accepted.
Yeah, and actually now I was thinking that for the story of the job experience, that's also really relevant for the PhD as well, because during like the Dutch master degree, for example, they have as mandatory courses these little internships that most of the times are carried out in companies too. So when somebody else is coming from abroad, because of the fact that this is a mandatory thing in their own programs, it's something that they really look at. So if you have small experiences in companies, that would be great too.
Yeah.
Valentina and Dmitry, thank you very much. I'm trying to sort of pick up the questions that are different topics. Again, if you find one, please do let me know. But I have a peculiar request from Julia, really interested in your research field, Valentina, asking if perhaps it's possible to contact you directly, with a smiley face, of course.
Ah, yeah. Yes, for sure. I don't know exactly how to do this, but maybe, yeah.
No.
Perhaps we can save this for after the webinar. I've noted Julia down, and perhaps
I can
send her the email or forward Julia's email, and then you can contact her. Perhaps.
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. And actually, being on topic of the projects, I have a question. Does the performance in either of the project or the courses decide their path that they should then take in their individual projects?
Well, it's chosen based on your interview with the company. So if you feel confident and you feel that you're able to make this project, nobody will hold you, like prevent you from applying to it. So yeah, let's say if you did some failures, I think it's even better, because then you just learn more and you know better how to commit it in the future. So just yeah, there is no this kind of connection like within your studies in bachelor or masters, that if you have bad grades, at least we don't have grades like precise grades in software technology. Everything is just evaluated by our managers, and you see by yourself that, okay, I like this direction, I like this domain, and I want to apply for a project in this domain, and yeah, you just do it. But then, of course, it's up to you to go through successful interview and convince your future employer that you are the one who is able to fulfill this project and to make it.
And maybe I can add something on that related to the PhD. So the question is about also the possibility to get an evaluation of your performances during the PhD. Is that correct? No.
I believe so.
Okay, so then officially we do have something that happens after the very first year of the PhD. So you go into what is called the first year evaluation, and that's sort of like the only time where the committee is deciding on the future of the PhD. So they can decide whether to stop it because it's not going well, or you're not doing in the right way, or continue. But then after that, in theory, it should not happen anymore.
Thank you very much, guys. You've been most useful. We still have some time reserved, and I believe that I've also found a good question for both PDEng and PhD. How is your typical timetable structured? How much is spent on teaching, grading, perhaps doing research, lab time?
Yeah, so for the PhD, it really depends on you. Especially, and now I'm referring to the teaching part. So there are two types of teaching that you can enroll for. One is the standard teaching, where you will support the professors during classes. But if you don't want to do that, nobody will oblige you to do that. And actually, normally it's in the other way around, that nobody asks you, and it's only if you come up with the idea of supporting professors for the teaching that they might consider you helping. But then there is the other type of teaching that relates to the supervision of master students, for example, or bachelor students. And even though on paper that is not really mandatory, they recommend you to do that. Because most of the times when you collaborate with students, first of all, you learn yourself new things, and also put ideas into a different perspective. And then they can help you out with tiny projects or side projects. So yeah, in that sense, there is some teaching involved.
Yeah. In my case, I didn't have chance to supervise masters or bachelor students, but yeah, during the first year we had 3 projects, and each of them was like 2-3 months, and then the rest period is just scheduled for some workshops and trainings in between. Plus, you have good vacations. So let's say, probably interesting to mention, within first year we had almost 45 days off. And yeah, as we were doing projects in a group, they were mainly fixed and scheduled. Of course, if you want to take like sick leave, or if there is important like event for you to take a day off, you can do it. But yeah, the next year will be more flexible, because then it's just up to you how you arrange your time, how you will work, and like, it's something to negotiate and discuss with the company.
Yeah, and for the PhD, for the story of the agenda
amount of days
time. No, the amount of days is amazing. We have more than 40 days per year.
Yeah.
But of course, it's your own responsibility, and also, for example, the way you structure your day. So nobody is really checking whether you arrive at 9 in the morning or in the afternoon. But then you pay the consequences of that. So.
No, but yeah, you build your own schedule.
Yeah, indeed.
Thank you yet again, guys. Another question, quite relevant, I would say. Is there perhaps any age limitation for the candidates?
Wow.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so as well. Yeah, I would say in my group, it's like quite a broad variety of ages. I think, yeah, let's say people from 24 to 30 something even. Yeah.
So for the PhD, it's the same. Although if you want to consider later on staying in academia, you would like to finish the PhD as soon as possible, because then for the academic career there are super strict deadlines, and also for the, for example, for getting grants or enrolling into tenure track for professor positions. So that's really super strict.
Thank you you very much. Let's see if we can slowly start wrapping up the session. But another good question, after finishing either the PhD or the PDEng program, are then they allowed to stay in the Netherlands to look for a job?
Well, there is a way, if you studied here and you're from abroad, you can apply for 1 year, if I'm not mistaken, year of searching for a job visa, let's say. So you have this chance.
Although it really depends on your visa situation, huh? Because for European people it's quite different. So we can stay as much as we want, and also with the benefits that Dimitri was mentioning. So we have this unemployment possibility. But of course, if you have a visa and it's a working visa, at the moment you are done with both of them, then you have to find an alternative. Otherwise, you're not allowed to stay.
Yeah, but there is different kind of visas. So one of them is searching for a job visa, which is, if I'm not mistaken, it's a 1 year visa.
Yeah.
Valentina and Dimitri, thank you very much. Perhaps also worth mentioning, because I'm getting some recurring questions, are there any scholarships available?
No, because we are employees, so we get a salary.
So you don't pay for anything. They applying for one of the doctorate programs. You will be employed and you will receive your salary. So
yeah.
University will pay you.
Thank you very much. Perhaps on a sort of off-study related topic, how is medical insurance taken care of for either of the PhD or the PDEng students?
So first of all, the health insurance is mandatory as soon as you start working. And I know that TUE has collaborations with some specific health insurance companies. So if you want, you can go for that package because it's all set. So they will tell you, look, it's like for the bank account, it's the same story. So they can suggest you and give you tips about specific packages or banks. But then, of course, you can decide on your own if you don't like that package or.
Yeah. If you're coming from abroad, then all of the questions related to your relocation, to signing up all of the documents, registering yourself, getting health insurance and bank accounts, you will get support for all of them. So don't worry too much. Even for people who are coming with partners and families or even kids, yeah, then you just describe your situation, and specifically for you there will be help. And yeah, don't worry too much about it. Just first of all show your motivation and apply for the program.
Perhaps an interesting question from Moses, the one that I would like to have the answer to, is actually when they finish the PDEng, can they use the doctor title?
Of course, it's professional doctorate in engineering. So please feel free to use it.
Okay, I know that you already addressed this, but yet again, some reoccurring questions. What would be the job opportunities after completing the 2 courses?
Yeah, for the PhD, I think as many as you want. And actually, in the Netherlands, it's extremely valuable to have a PhD degree, at the point that if you have a PhD, maybe the steps in career later on will be much faster. But I'm not talking out of experience right now because I'm about to finish, so I haven't tested it myself. But I know that it has a lot of value, of course.
Yeah, and after PDEng, you gained experience in different projects, and then it just boosts your career because, let's say, if you work in one position for a year or 2, then well, you probably focus on one specific area, and this, like PDEng, helps you to make it broader. And first of all, you know for yourself where exactly to go afterwards, and yeah, also you have chance to apply your knowledge in a different projects, and yeah, you just try it, and then you see what is better.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Perhaps a related question. Does the PDEng work closely with the banking industry?
Well, talking about software technology, in past years, we had projects with some Dutch banks, and I know some alumni that found job in the bank industry after PDEng. So, yeah, I probably can't just like narrow it down only to bank industry, but if you're interested, of course, you're able to apply, and I even have some examples of it.
Thank you very much. Please do correct me. I'm not sure if I actually addressed this question as to what is the average time period from completing either of the courses to getting a job?
That really depends on personal situations, because, for example, for a PhD, if later on you stay in the Netherlands, maybe it's slightly faster. And again, if you have done collaborations with industry during the PhD as well, then the route is set because you know already where to go and who to approach. But then it's different if you want to start from scratch in another country. So yeah, that I cannot tell. But I guess with that type of title, it shouldn't take that long. But yeah, I don't have a number, like an amount of months or years.
Yeah, that's true. It's personal, but then let's say you know, like doing PDEng, while doing it, you answer your question what exactly you want for yourself in the future, and then nobody holds you from like applying for a job because you know the day, like the graduation day. So you just know that you'll be free after your graduation, and yeah, some people they were looking for a job within final year of their PDEng. Quite a lot of people got a proposal from the company they were doing second year project in. So it's a very common use case when you work in the company for 10 months doing your project, and you actually see how is it going there, like do you like it or not, and if you did a good job, it's very common to get a just proposal from the company to continue with them and be an employee of this company.
Yeah.
Thank you yet again. We will be slowly wrapping up the session, and I do apologize if we didn't have the time to address your question today. What you can do is, after the webinar finishes, of course you can still submit them. I will forward the queries submitted through the Q&A or the chat panel to the faculty members, but you also have an option of sending a message to the WhatsApp number that I've shared, which is +316 416 83406. Please check out the chat panel where you have the WhatsApp number available as well. So once the webinar closes, you can submit your queries there. Just keep in mind that if a WebCare team member can't get back to you straight away, they will also make sure to forward your queries to the appropriate people who can then in turn get back to you with the appropriate information. Perhaps on a lighter note, I've noticed two questions actually regarding the same topic. I don't know if you can help them. Is there a way for an international student to come to live to Eindhoven with their family, with their spouses perhaps? Do you guys know?
Yeah, there is, and actually the spouses, they are facilitated a lot. So there is even an international group for expat spouses, so they will help you while your partner is already doing a job to either find a job or get a little bit more integrated within the society and the city. So that's really favorable, yes.
Yeah, it's of course possible. So.
Thank you very much. What else was it? Perhaps one more from EFE. If it's perhaps possible to continue an academic career after the PDEng, so like a postdoc or a research-based project, perhaps?
Yeah, if you decide to do so, nobody holds you from applying to PhD afterwards. Like even though you finish with your final PDEng project, but then you found interesting topic for you, please just apply for PhD.
Yeah, but of course you cannot do the postdoc right after the PDEng, so it's necessary first to get the PhD.
That's true.
Valentina and Dimitri, it is time to wrap up the session, unfortunately, today. yet again, to our audience members, we do apologize if we couldn't address your question today, but rest assured, your queries will be forwarded to the appropriate people. You will be taken care of, so no need to worry there. But allow me to thank actually our audience members for joining. I sure hope that this session was informative, and I hope that some of you might actually apply to either a PDEng program or a PhD program, and I wish you the best of luck with your future study endeavors. And of course, a very special thank you to Dimitri and Valentina. Thank you very much for taking your time, for sharing the expertise. Perhaps any last-minute closing comments before we say goodbye?
It was a pleasure for us.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and yeah, as a final remark, just don't hesitate and yeah, apply for one of the doctorate programs in here.
Yeah.
You will enjoy it, definitely. So.
Thank you very much. This time to all of the participants, and this is Simon, your host, signing off by wishing you perhaps a good morning, a good afternoon, or who knows, a good evening from wherever you may be. Thank you for joining, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.